Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. We all know that the Gemara and Megillah, the Mishnah and Megillah lists off the levels of different holy objects that we have, from a shul to a bima, to Aron Kodesh, to Svarim, to Sifrei Torah. You can only imagine that Sifrei Torah is what most sacred to the Yidden, and almost for nothing could a Sefer Torah be sold. But there is a halacha in Shulchan Aruch, in Even Ezer, Siman Aleph Siv Beis. It says like this: Ein moichin Sefer Torah, ela kedei lilmei Torah v'lisa isha. There's two exceptions to the rule when you are even allowed to sell a Sefer Torah, which is the Kodesh HaKadoshim, which is the holiest of holy things that we have today. And that is lilmei Torah, for studying Torah. Somebody needs funds to be able to study Torah, and Lisa Isha, if he needs money for survival, he should be able to get married. Now, there's many details to this shaila, because Lisa Isha, we know that a mitzvah of Puruvu particularly is more an obligation on the man. He has the chiyuv of atim Puruvu milus aretz. So if a woman owns a Sefer Torah, or are you allowed to sell a Sefer Torah to marry off a yisoima where they don't have this mitzvah as strong, as strict as by a male? That's the discussion of Achreinim. And the type of Sefer Torah, even if it's the last Sefer Torah in the shul, a community Sefer Torah, those are all discussions that I mentioned. But I do want to touch upon a chiduch that the Rebbe brings in Likutei Sichos. And that is, later on, there's a discussion about at what point, until when could you sell a Sefer Torah for a person's marriage? How about if it's a second marriage? How about if he had already children, and now he's marrying for the second time? Not to stay alone, or for whatever other halachic reason there may be for a person to marry a second time. Is there a halachic right to sell a Sefer Torah? So there's actually a machlokes haposkim. Some say yes, and some say as long as he fulfilled the mitzvah already, and he has a family, we can't allow him to sell a Sefer Torah. And the Rebbe actually goes on to explain the depth between this machlokes. The Rebbe says, you know, we commonly understand that the mitzvah of Puruvu is a timely mitzvah, that at a certain period of time it's over. If you have a certain amount of children, the mitzvah is over. And now it's only a nice thing to do, it's a proper thing to do, to continue growing your family, but it's not that great. Some people might think so. Yet, we know there are different psukim that obligate a husband, a man, to get married and to have a family. And perhaps the family should be a large family. We see that from one hand the pasuk says Puruvu milus aretz, and for that there is the halachic criteria. The halachic shear is, if you have a son and a daughter that they are able to have children, you fulfill the mitzvah. But then there's another pasuk that says from Shlomo HaMelech, that Shlomo HaMelech says a person is never satisfied, a person is never sure that the things that he does are good. And the same thing, a person is not sure the children that he had are going to be tzaddikim, and their offsprings will be tzaddikim. So Shlomo HaMelech in Kehillah says that even le'erev, even in the older age, you should still try to have a larger family. So the Rebbe says this suggestion that that Shlomo HaMelech says that you should have a larger family, is that a new halacha? In other words, I fulfilled the mitzvah, Rebbe. Now this is a second thing, a suggestion, a din derabanan, or perhaps Shlomo HaMelech came along and extended that original mitzvah of Puruvu for not only the shear of two kids, a boy and a girl, but even greater. And based on that, these two ways how to look at it, we could understand what the halacha is, why the halacha is if you're allowed to sell a Sefer Torah for a second marriage or not. If we believe that as long as a person is able to have children and have a large family, it's part of the mitzvah of Puruvu, then for the mitzvah of Puruvu, you're allowed to sell a Sefer Torah. If, however, once you have your first boy and girl that are healthy and able to have children, you fulfill the mitzvah, and now it's a secondary, it's an extension, it is a din derabanan which has no connection to the earlier part of the mitzvah of Puruvu, says the Rebbe, if so, it's not that level of a chiyuv, and therefore you're not allowed to sell a Sefer Torah. for a second marriage. Yeshikoyach, and please join us again next week.